everyone, and welcome back to the Last Journey podcast. Today we are going to talk all about burnout. Everybody knows what burnout is. Everybody has felt it, myself included, majorly. And I have really been going through it now, so I thought this would be a really good opportunity to share with you how I spot when I'm going through burnout, how I spot it even, in my employees, people around me, and how I work to fix it. So what burnout might look like to you is it could be anxiety, like the constant kind. For an example for you, like I knew when I was really done being with clients is when I had so many other things going on that I was getting really bad anxiety even knowing that, like, okay, today's a client day. Today I'm having to go into work. And the whole entire time when I was doing that service, I was just constantly thinking about all of the other things I needed to be doing or that needed to be done. And that stress and that constant anxiety is a way that I knew I was burnt out from taking clients and I needed to do something to fix it because I wasn't offering the best service I could possibly offer to them. Another sign of burnout is that you find little pleasure in doing things that you actually love to do. Like, I love PMU, I love tattooing, but I was feeling that burnout there. I see it even in my, managing my team sometimes, or some of the tasks that I was taking on myself, and I would start procrastinating them. I would start just really, really hate having to do anything that was tedious. That's a really big sign of burnout as well. You can be irritable, not only with people that you work with, but especially at home, the people that you love and care about the most. You can be really short with them. And also for me, the big thing is when I am totally burnt out, I find that I have a huge lack of productivity, where I can completely feel numb for days at a time. And, you just feel like you're walking around in this cloud and don't know how to get yourself out of it. But you do have to get yourself out of it, and you have to be able to kind of talk with yourself introspectively and figure out what the cause of burnout is and how you can move past it. So when I think about why I'm burnt out now, I know why. I just got off of a launch for my 7-figure foundation course, which went really, really well. I did hit my goal, and I'm super excited about that. But it was, a whole 6-week ramp up of constantly showing my face on social, having to make sure that I had content ready, making sure that I'm having, I actually love the conversation part, like having conversations with all the new salon owners and everything. But it is just a lot on top of all of the other things that you have to do. So, when I got done that, I feel like I've just completely felt my body and my mind, really. My mind has just completely shut down, where it's like I know that I have all of these other tasks that have to get done, but I just do not want to do them. So how do I work to get myself out of that? I think back to, the past year of like where I'm at now and what has led me up to this point. Sometimes we get into like thinking that we might feel burnt out and like we feel like we're not being productive, and then we look back at like what we've actually done and what has led up to it, and being able to recognize that we are in fact in a period of burnout and what has caused it. It allows us to give ourselves a little more grace. Like in the past year alone, I have I've been growing both of my studios like to a really sweet spot of like making sure that we're enhancing our client experience, and I've put so much time, energy, money into these salon renovations, into creating, a training program and a new training facility. Like that in itself is enough to send somebody over the edge. But I didn't stop there. I launched this business. I've launched, another 6-figure revenue stream, like a whole entire other business on top of my 2 salon businesses, focusing on, mentoring others and my mentorship programs and developing those programs. Like that is super stressful. I'm involved with my nonprofit. I am traveling a lot for work, and that is enough to like really break somebody down. And I would be lying if I didn't say that I wasn't feeling that, and that, it's affected, relationships all around me. I feel like I've been a bit of a recluse to my, my longtime friends. I've had those feelings of mom guilt where it's like I'm working so much, am I showing up for my kids? Because I know I'm forgetting like normal things that I wouldn't normally forget, when it comes to, doing things for their school or being more involved in their school. And, that just makes me sad when I think about it. My relationship with my husband, who I love and is an amazing father, but like, I'm not as present as I could be for him, and that is a really big wake-up call too, because, he deserves, my energy as well, so much more than work deserves my energy at times. And I think that just realizing that I am in this period of burnout and I'm realizing the effect that it's having on certain things around me has really been a big wake-up call to me to try to figure out how to get myself out of it. So, I want to share with you what I've been doing to get myself out of it, and what I think that would be good for you if you're feeling burnout too, to focus on some of these, things that are going to make you feel better. So the number one thing that I do whenever I'm feeling like this great burnout is, first of all, give myself grace and realize what I have gone through, and let myself know that it's okay that you're feeling burnt out right now, and it's only up from here. The next thing that I do to physically try to help myself is to prioritize what's important. So if you sit down and you make a list of like, what are the most important things in your life right now? For me, it's my family, my kids, making sure that I'm, a present mom and a present wife to my partner. And I know that that is number one for me, and everything else kind of falls second to that. The second thing I do is I figure out what is really causing me the stress and burnout, what's causing me the anxiety, and then I figure out, are those things something that I can delegate out? Like, does it still need to be done, but maybe I don't need to be the one to do it? Can I delegate that out, or can I just get it off my plate altogether? When you're making that list, I want you to first cross off anything that is not bringing you value or that is causing you such great anxiety. If you don't have anyone else to take it over, put it on the back burner. Maybe it needs to be done one day, but maybe today's not the day. Give yourself a little bit of time to just like revisit it at a different time. I think the thing that you need to realize is, for me at least, I know that when I get into these phases, it's actually something called hyper productivity, and it is not sustainable. For me, I feel, if I'm getting vulnerable with you here, I feel that this happened for me. It was triggered by, the birth of my second daughter. I had really bad postpartum depression, and I think that the way my brain just worked to kind of combat it, since I wasn't seeing, I couldn't get in with a therapist at the time, right after COVID. All the therapists were so full, so I couldn't really get out my frustration, my energy, and like all of those bad feelings of feeling guilty for having postpartum depression and not feeling the way I should feel, as a mom with her new baby. And I think that, my brain just went into hyper productive mode, where the only thing that I know how to do and do well and like get gratification from is starting a project with work and completing it and watching it come to life. And yeah, those things feel really good, but not when you're doing it to the point where you've now put so much on your plate that you're drowning, because then that makes you feel 10 times worse. So I think that you need to understand that, yes, we're going to go through seasons of that like hyper productivity, but it is not sustainable. So make sure that when you are starting to feel yourself get into that mode where you're just doing all of the things, like it's going to catch up with you. So you need to just take a step back and think about that number one thing we just talked about, which is prioritizing what's important, and how, ask yourself, what is adding this like one extra project on my plate going to do for me spending time with my family? What's more important, and what do I need to focus on right at this time? Another thing that I want you to focus on is communication. Communicate, with yourself. Have that internal dialogue and understand what you're going through, and try to be positive when you're speaking to yourself, but also to have communication with those you love around you. I've had so many countless conversations with my own husband about my hyper productivity and like what I'm going through, and I think that it helps him to understand, while he might be frustrated with me at times, it helps him to understand, that I know that this is not going to last forever, and that I can tell him what I'm trying to do to get myself out of it, and he can actually be there to support and help me. And it just helps our relationship that much more. You can also, if you don't have a loved one like that, if you aren't really great at talking to yourself, get a therapist. I have a therapist. All of my best friends and other really successful business owners, we talk to a therapist because it's just like, it just feels good to take care of yourself, and it feels good to get those thoughts out, maybe thoughts that you can't share with your partner or that you don't have that great communication with. Like having somebody to talk to about what you're going through that can help you with that internal dialogue goes such a long way. And then lastly, I want you to really focus on prioritizing you. What that looks like for me is I'm not big into working out on my own or working out myself, but I do know what works for me, and that is making an appointment with somebody like a personal trainer. For some odd reason, I know that my brain works obviously we're in the beauty industry, so my brain works by making appointments. So if I make an appointment with a trainer, I respect their time. I know that I'm not a big cancel at the last minute type person. I would have anxiety if I canceled on my trainer last minute. As many times as I actually want to, I still show up, and I always feel better for doing it. You're never going to regret moving your body. You're never going to regret taking care of yourself. So prioritizing you, whether that, constitutes going on walks, getting out in nature, doing things that just makes you feel good is going to pour out into anything else that you're doing and you're focusing on at the moment. I think even if you're just taking small steps, whether it's, starting to eat a little bit healthier, and always put a positive spin on that. Don't put I need to lose weight so I feel better, so I'm going to restrict myself. That is not ultimately going to make you feel better. But if you turn it into a positive thought, like I'm going to eat things that are fueling my body better, I'm going to move my body so that I feel good about myself. Those are really great ways that you can prioritize you. Read a book, take a hot bath once a week. I don't know, whatever it is that makes you feel good about yourself, just pour into that. Even if it's just little things at a time, it's going to add up to a lot down the road. Really, what I want you to get from this is just to remember you are only one person. You cannot do all of the things, and but to give yourself grace to know when you are feeling it, and to just make those little changes to get yourself out of it, because everybody around you just wants you to be happy. I want you to be happy too. I want to be happy myself. So I think that, bringing the normality of this to light is, what's going to help us all get through it. So if you are ever struggling or you just need somebody to talk to, trust me, I get it. Feel free to find me on Instagram, shoot me a message. I'm happy to talk about whatever it is you're going through. But hopefully we can all get ourselves out of this burnout ourselves and really get back to focusing on our families and the things that we love. All right, I'll see you next time. Have a good one.